evening, everyone. I hope everyone is well. Today is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, and we're here for a regular scheduled town board meeting and also a CDA meeting. As always, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Frank, can you please take the lead?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you, Frank. And do we have anyone from the faith community with us today?
Well, you know, the last couple of weeks it's been touch and go, but we're supposed to have with us Reverend Dr. Sean Murray from the First Congregational Church of Riverhead.
Is he here?
Is he here today? I didn't see him.
Okay. And where is our police chief? Devin?
I'm sorry?
Police chief?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'll call him.
Yes.
I spoke to him earlier. He's planning to be here.
Okay.
All right, great.
So, Frank, do you want to say a prayer?
I would just like to say, dear God, bless Riverhead. Riverhead's a great place to live, a great community, and we need your help to oversee what's going on here in the future. Thank you so much for all you've bestowed on us, and please continue to watch us and guide us. Amen.
Perfect. Thank you. Amen.
Frank?
Yeah, that was impressive. Wasn't it? So we have no announcements tonight, and I'm going to ask for a first and a second to close the town board meeting and open the community development agency meeting.
Second?
Okay. Diane, can you please take the vote?
Sure. Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
K-Rock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The
And I'm,
town board meeting is closed and the CDA meeting is now open.
okay, and I'm going to ask Joe Moriano, who's the Assistant CDA Director, to please come forward and conduct his meeting.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hi, Joe.
How are
We
you?
have three simple resolutions to do some minutes. We need a first and second to approve the special.
Okay, we need Mike.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
I didn't, just need a first and second to approve the CDA board minutes, the special meeting of September 27th and October 4th. Oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah,
October 4th, September
Right.
27th, October 4th, and October 18th.
correct.
Is that, I believe?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Okay, okay.
Kern,
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
A-Rock,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Motion approved. Any comments on any matter relating to the CDA?
Okay, anybody want to come forward regarding CDA matters only, please?
Good evening, Mike Foley,
Good
Reese
evening.
Park. In regards to community development, one of the most important things that are upon us is properly implementing the marijuana retail footprint in the town. And just prior to the resolution vote on November the 1st, I think it was, event, you alluded to a 27-page report that was issued on October the 28th by the Office of Cannabis Management, Guidance for Adult Use Retail Dispensaries. And you did acknowledge that you needed to break it down, that
You're addressing the entire board, okay? That's how it should be. It's a comment section, not an accusatory section. So I would appreciate if you can just make your remarks instead
Sure.
of singling out one person or another back and
well,
forth.
actually, I'm discussing the comments that you made prior to having a resolution vote, and that the comments that you made had a direct bearing on the ability to vote that resolution up and down. And this is why I'm mentioning it. You did underscore that you had just received it, and you needed to break it down. And from what you were reading, you made certain conclusions. And I'm just going to read a few of them. That
Is this a
they,
C-
meaning
is
the
this
state.
a CDA matter?
Of course it is. It's got to do with community development.
Mike, this was a town code amendment. This is probably
comments.
comment
This is
section
not
of
a,
the town board meeting.
yes.
There wasn't anything in front of the CDA about cannabis.
But you would agree, Eric, that the placement of retail marijuana in the footprint of Riverhead is a community development matter?
Or a planning matter.
But it's not a CDA issue.
It's not,
It's
Well,
not a
I-
CDA issue.
there's no
I would
pending
prefer that you
CDA
come
issues
forward
related
at,
to cannabis.
I will respectfully adhere to what you're saying, Eric, and I also
Thank you.
respectfully disagree. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Respect that, and I thank you for
Yes.
Just real quick, I just think that, based on those recent comments, there's just some confusion between our actual community development. I think there's some confusion between the town board acting as the community development agency and then the separate work that's related that we do as the community development department.
Okay,
So certainly the marijuana legislation is a town board issue.
and it was a town board resolution, so it
Correct,
should
yes.
be classified under town. I agree, yes. Good afternoon.
Hi, Laura Jen Smith from Laurel. My question may fall in that range, so I'm not sure if this would be where it is. My one question is just for the town square, and for the master developer, it is in an urban renewal area. Was there a qualified and eligible held already, or no?
We would have to ask, no, there wasn't, not that I know of.
So the master developer has not done the qualified and eligible hearing yet
We haven't even hired him yet, we're about to.
for
Yes.
Petroselli to do the town square? Okay, I'll then address there's a resolution on there, so
Okay.
I'll come back.
Okay, no problem. Anyone else? Okay, Joe, I don't see anyone else with comments. Do you want to close the meeting?
Since there's no further comments, I need a first and a second to close the CDA meeting.
Take the vote, please.
So moved.
Kern,
Take the vote.
Yes.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrott,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
The CDA meeting is not closed and the town board meeting is reopened. Thank you.
great. And thank you, Joe. And moving forward, can I have a first and a second to approve the minutes for the regular town board meeting of October 18th, 2022?
Motion?
Second.
Diane, please take the vote.
Certainly. Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
And Diane, I think we may have some figures, reports, or correspondence?
Yes, we do. Under correspondence, there was a petition for the Riverhead Sewer District for a car wash business at 1418.
Diane, you gotta speak into the microphone.
Oh. Yes, it works.
Yes, for a little assistance. I don't know when. Just leave it on that ledge.
Oh, just hold
Okay,
on.
I'll try harder. Okay. Under correspondence, there was a petition for the Riverhead Sewer District for a car wash business at 1418 Pulaski Street. There was a letter from Susan Vaughan Grant requesting a moratorium to allow for time to explore the impact of planned warehouses. Under reports, the police department submitted their September and October monthly reports. Tax receiver October utility collection report was $988,789.10. Town clerk October monthly report, $9,814.68. That's it.
That's it? Okay, that was pretty easy. Thank you, Diane, and now we're gonna have a public hearing portion. Today's public hearing was scheduled for 6 o'clock. The time now is 6:12. And we are opening a public hearing for the consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 301 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Zoning and Land Development, Article 39, Planned Industrial Park, PIP in parentheses. I ask our building and our planning administrator, Jeff Murphy, to please come forward and provide us a brief overview of this topic. Jeff, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. The public hearing you have this evening is to make two amendments to the planned industrial park zoning district located within EPCAL. The two amendments include: one is to allow indoor sports and recreation facilities. Right now, we only allow outdoor sports and recreation facilities. The Second Amendment would allow existing businesses and proposed businesses to have a small accessory retail floor space within their building that have uses that are permitted within the zoning district. These accessory retail floor space would be limited to 5% of the gross floor area of the building, not to exceed a maximum of 1,500 square feet of floor space. So we're talking very, very small floor area. To give you an example of this, within this area, we have the Riverhead Building Supply and Lido Stone. If somebody wanted to go up there to see the products and to have perhaps order or buy a limited supply of those products, the zoning does not allow that now. The proposed amendments would allow that.
Jeff, can I just make one simple correction? The code currently reads indoor recreation only. We added outdoor, indoor and outdoor.
Indoor and outdoor, that is correct. Yep.
And I just want to thank Bob Kern, Councilman Kern, for increasing the square footage. Originally, it was brought to us at 1,000. I think this is much more appropriate for that area.
Absolutely. Okay, any members of the public want to come forward in this regard? Good evening.
Phil Barbado, Jamesport.
Okay.
Just real quick, I think that this could be also subtitled as the shooting range amendment, because it's obvious that you're putting this together so a shooting range can be put together at the Cal site. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I'm wondering, since you're part of this change here is to allow people from outside who don't normally work on that site to come and use this particular accessory use. Have you thought about if that's going to cause any traffic or other parking or other issues that aren't there now? Because the way I read this, accessory uses are just for people who are already there, and this changes it to be anybody coming from off the site. That's my only question.
Okay.
I think 1,500 square feet is still pretty minimal, and I don't see it, it's not like you're gonna have a Home Depot opening up in the sites. It's still a small retail sale area. I think it does currently help the manufacturers that are up there. If you're manufacturing a boat, you don't need to have a sales showroom in town. You can go there and look at some different models that may be under construction or being built there, look at the process and select something there. I used an example last time of Riverhead Building Supply. If that's where they're storing a lot of their equipment and somebody wants to go up and purchase a front door, they don't have to go back in town to do that. They can activate the sale on site. I appreciate that Bob went up to 1,500 square feet, but it's a small little area. So I think the impact would be pretty minimal.
Does it have to be any associated regulations requiring more parking or other things that might facilitate more people using the site?
There's a lot of parking out there. So again, it's not a Home Depot or, at Tanger where you have 4,300 spaces at Tanger. This is very small retail, and there's a lot of parking out in EPCAL.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening, my name is Barbara Blass and I live in Jamesport. I do have a question about the addition of indoor recreation in the planned industrial park district as a special permit. If you scroll up to the currently permitted uses, indoor recreational use is a standalone. It's indoor is already permitted, so
Right.
I'm confused as to why you're adding it as a special permit as well. It's in there twice. If you look at 301, 185A10, permitted uses, indoor recreation. is a permitted use.
Barbara, I believe the intent was with permitted uses, and it should have been, it is indoor, and it was made / outdoor as a permitted use, and I don't know how it got by special permit.
But it's in, so now you're in there twice,
I
and
understand. We'll make that correction.
Okay, so you're going to delete the one that's existing now as a permitted use under 301-185A10.
I think we're gonna leave indoor, outdoor as a permitted use and not by special permit of the town board.
So then that's clearly different from what was
I,
advertised.
I'd like to see, if you're gonna amend something, I'd like to see more specific.
Yeah.
The public hearing notice doesn't show what you're reading, Barbara, so, can Eric either give us a copy or just, I'm
Do you
not
have it,
seeing what
Jeff?
you're seeing, so I
Do
apologize.
you have it, Jeff, what she's talking about?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so the
30
planner, okay, the planner is, on top of this topic, so let's, he's gonna take a look at it.
I just don't wanna say, oh yeah, we're amending something, I need to see what
I-
we're supposed, what we may or may not be amending, you know?
I
I'm not sure
truly
what.
totally understand your need to take a close look at it, but if, what Councilman Kern was just suggesting, that you were going to make indoor, outdoor as permitted,
That was, and I'm gonna say this, that's the way, when I looked at it, I put a / permitted. I have not looked at this iteration, so to Ken's point, we'll look at it.
Okay, so the permitted uses say indoor recreational uses. The amendment is outdoor, indoor sports and recreation.
no, the word sports is already there. You're adding indoor recreation. That's the way it reads in the notice.
Under special permit uses, indoor is not there.
It's not,
And
it is
also,
actually, you're adding,
under
the
the-
special permit hearing is to add indoor sports, indoor recreation. That's what
There's
the
been indoor,
notice.
but there's been indoor recreation there.
And
There
that's
was an
my
indoor
point.
soccer facility that was operating for a number of years there.
That's my point. It's already there, but you're adding it as a special permit. What is it? Is it indoor, is it special permit or as of right? It's for you to decide. I'm just saying
No, good
it's
point.
totally,
I'll look at it.
it has to be renoticed or clarified or something because it
Well,
doesn't
why
make
don't we
sense.
classify it instead of having to renotice, and go back? Is it possible, Eric, that we can just?
Well, I think the way that it's written here is a little bit clunky. I think the intention is to be outdoor, indoor, sports and recreation facilities. I think that's what it should say.
I think they would all be allowed
Am I
under a
correct,
special
Jefferson?
permit.
So would you be deleting the one in A10?
Why don't I just leave it as permitted? Why does it have to be a special permit?
So much for clarity.
Well,
This public notice does not change anything in A, based on what has been brought to the public.
Correct. And
So-
my question is, how do you have it as a special permit use and a permitted use at the same time?
I
How do you
understand your
reconcile
question
that?
now.
That's my question. That's for you to decide. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If there's clarification to be had, what I would recommend is just delete the special permit requirement for the recreation facility. I don't see it rising to the additional level of a special permit. It's just a
Exactly.
community, any one of those, if you have soccer fields or indoor recreation.
But I think what Mrs. Blass is then saying is that you have to amend A so that.
That'd be
they've got-
recommending conditions, under item B of the special permit use, special permit uses. Just make it simpler.
So
Does that make sense?
just so I'm understanding, we'd be changing it such that it would be outdoor, indoor sports and,
Would just be a permitted use.
okay.
And it is a permitted use.
So,
No, under special permit.
Indoor
it
is-
would be
Indoor is
outdoor, indoor sports
right.
Yeah.
facilities.
So if you,
Not
for
recreation.
example, we already have soccer fields up there, as was noted. If somebody wanted to expand that, why should that rise to the additional level of review for a special permit?
Exactly.
Right. Okay,
Anything
so
else I
do
can
we
help
know
with?
what we're amending?
We know. If the board concurs, we can make that that change.
I think,
Yeah, that was the
Good with it?
initial intent, not to be, it was just a permanent use indoor/outdoor.
Yeah, I don't see how recreation rises to a special permit level.
so,
Tim, you look like you have some concerns?
He's reading it.
I'm looking it up on the E-code, I'm trying to get it to come up.
Oh, okay. This is one of those rare cases I rely on paper.
yeah,
All right, I'll turn it over to anybody else.
So is the suggestion to take out the line after B, special permit uses, to strike that?
That would be my recommendation.
I think if we did that, then it just says that outdoor and indoor sports and recreation facility would be permitted.
Right.
Exactly.
And no one would need to file a special permit to do that. And that would match what's in A, is that right?
That would be correct.
Yes, so I think to strike that, we may need to go back to renotice it, to strike this special permit use line.
Correct.
Thank you for pointing it out, Barbara.
okay.
Anything else I can ask?
Anyone else in this regard?
Yeah, no, it's,
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna close this public portion section of the hearing, and it's gonna remain open for written comments until 4:30 PM on November 28th, 2022, at the town clerk's office. This concludes the public hearing portion of this meeting, and we're gonna now move forward to public comments on the resolution before us. But before we start hearing the public on the resolutions before us, I have a brief statement today for you. Since I took office, the guiding force for me as supervisor, and I believe for the entire town board, has been to put the town first and forward. And as a whole, sometimes we have to make some very tough decisions, and sometimes we have to go in further and we have to delve into things, and we have to research, and we have to look at both sides. It's what makes good government. And the decisions that I know I make, they affect every resident and the board. Their decisions affects all the residents. And although we might not always agree with the town board, we do agree that the service of loose leaf pickup should continue for the residents. It is a service, and it's a service that is well-deserved, and the residents are used to this service for many, many decades. The funding of the service, as most of you know, has been a matter of going back and forth, trying to identify a matter of opinions. We got the official opinion from our financial administrator. The highway superintendent has a different opinion, and the town attorney created an interpretation of what happened with the AG's office. We're not pointing fingers at anybody. We needed to have this matter resolved, and we needed to have it as soon as possible. Today, I called Councilman Hubbard, the liaison to highway, the superintendent, and I suggested that we consider a resolution this evening. I know that you've been working hard on this, Tim, for the last week or so, back and forth, saying we gotta resolve this. It's becoming a circus, and that's not how we should govern. And although Tim jumped right into it, and I'm gonna let him take it over. Did you wanna bring this off the floor? And you take it over?
well, I'll mention to them what I'm going to do when we get to it after the resolutions, then
But
we'll
I'm
bring it.
accepting comments for resolutions, so we wanna see if
Okay,
anybody
that's why I
has
said I'm
comments.
gonna-
Yeah,
okay.
so let's go.
I'm gonna be putting asking to take a resolution off the floor for a general budget transfer, from the general fund for $194,100, and transfer it to an account in the highway department for the leaf pickup. So this way, we can have our leaves picked up this year, and it's already been accounted for in next year's budget, so this issue should be put to rest forever, and we will be able to continue and do the leaf pickup for the residents that you've been so used to since 1967, I believe is when it started. So I will be bringing this off the floor as long as we have 5 votes later on. So if you want to comment on resolutions, this is one resolution you're not aware of that wouldn't be in the packet, so I just wanted to make you aware of it.
And it's a simple resolution, it doesn't have much on it, except it's just a budget transfer. So, yes, you can take that one. So moving forward regarding resolutions before us today, does anyone want to make a comment?
Yeah, like Foley Reeves Park. Geo Woodson has been fighting this battle with, has to be 4 supervisors. And he had gotten legal opinions from the state stating that this was something that really needed to be funded out of the general fund. I know that the new guy, forgive me, I forget his name, but I read his article in Riverhead Local. And he kind of felt he had this done, but I see that there was clearly a 1-year gap from the discussion to the implementation of the budget. I think this is a very clean way of fixing the problem. And from now on, this will be a general fund line item that will no longer be an imposition on any savings that our buildings people can come up with for future equipment or not. So nice job, Tim. I think this is very well done, and it solves the problem. Thank you.
You're welcome, but all of us work together on this, Mike. I don't want to take the credit solely for it. We all work together to make this happen, so.
Hi, good evening again, Laura Jen Smith. I'm just commenting on Resolution 208, which is an execution, to supervise and execute an agreement with Level G Associates.
208?
Where's
I
208?
think it's 808, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
2022, 808, I believe it is. It's for a feasibility study for a parking garage on the north side of East Main Street. The reason that I had asked the question before is because I thought that this was part of 4 phases for the downtown development of the town square by the master developer. And I'm just wondering if we haven't done the process where we have a qualified and eligible for the master developer, and we're moving forward to do a feasibility study at the cost of $14,000, does that not have to follow procedurally that we do the qualified and eligible first for the master developer? Because I believe this was part of the plan with the proposed, I guess it's a hotel, that parking spaces would be taken up with the planned development by the master developer. So I'm just curious why this is before the board at this point. And the other question I have about it is in the fiscal impact statement for this, it's saying that it has no fiscal impact. It's a $14,000 charge. So I'm just wondering what line item that money is coming from, that it has no impact, as if it was pre-budgeted.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna, Joe, can you just answer up on that one, because I know. Yeah, but Joe, wasn't that put through CDA or no? I thought so.
Was that a grant, Joe, that you got through the CDA for this study, the feasibility?
Yeah, have him come
feasibilities?
forward.
I can certainly verify after Dawn's back, but to the best of my knowledge, we're using community development block grant funding. So there's no 99% sure that that's what is being used here, so there wouldn't be any cost for this study for the taxpayer then.
Okay, thank you.
There is a line in the feasibility, in the impact statement, in the financial impact statement. If it is grant money, then that should be identified as such. So it's just for transparency for the public, so we know how it's being paid for. My other one is on 828, which is the town budget. So I know that in the resolution, it's saying that the budget is increased as the amendments that you had passed previously. But I'm just wondering, is there a recalculation of the budget so we know what the increase to the general fund is? We know what the increase to the taxpayer per thousand is. If it's there, I didn't see it, and I'm just wondering if that's going to be provided for the community, especially you're voting on the budget this evening. And it's a lot of figuring out from the resolutions that you passed, which I believe are over $500,000, with increase to the taxes, that we don't have the ability to see that before you vote on it.
Okay, there will be an opportunity for that.
But you're voting on it this evening,
Yeah,
correct?
we're gonna bring up the financial administrator who is ready to present the changes.
Okay, so he'll
Yeah.
address it before you vote?
He's standing up, ready to come up, so that's gonna happen.
And I just have one other question then. There was an article in Riverhead Local associated with the leaf pickup, but it was also talking about the 2021 audit that wasn't completed, and there were some questions brought up with the reserve fund having, I guess, at the end of December 2021, 14 million in it. And then there was a comment that the reserve fund is down to 7 million. So I'm just wondering what resolutions were passed to remove the funds from the reserve. I didn't see them, so I was wondering if that could just be commented on.
Okay. Bill, can you just give us the final percentage? It's 4.51.
So I guess there were two questions. One of them was on the budget. I do have a summary page that tells us the rates, the changes in the rates. So I have a summary of that I can distribute for the resolution. As far as the article, the information in the article on our fund balance was not the right information. It was taking our total fund balance. It's our unassigned fund balance that we use. So we have non-spendable, we have assigned fund balance. That is not used in the calculation to get our fund balance percentage of the following year's budget. So I do have those numbers to make it clear, but I'm not going to defend an article that was written. I can tell you what it is and show you what it is according to the AUD, and then later the audit to show what that number is if anybody needs that.
Bill, Laura also asked about the cost per thousand to taxpayers. Do you know what?
Yeah, that's all on this summary sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So why don't we give me a copy of the summary sheet and we can put it up? How's that? Devin, can you put that up? And that way people can see.
You wanna read it now, Bill, so that people know?
Well, give us most people are interested in that one figure for,
Cost per
You
thousand.
should share it with us now.
yeah, so that's,
So I'll read off the numbers that we normally advertise as hitting all three funds.
okay?
So we have the appropriations for the general fund, the spending in the general fund is $55,354,900. The highway fund is $7,338,300, and street lighting is $1,179,600. The tax levy, I'll give you the amount and then I'll give you the percentage, is $42,177,900. It's a 4.17% increase. That's the general funds portion. Highway fund is $6,863,800, and that's an 8.01% increase. Street lighting is a $1,146,900 tax levy, and it's a decrease of 2.58% for a total of a 4.51% increase over last year's budget.
Okay.
Okay? The other thing we say is the rate per thousand, and I'll go through that. The general fund is 3.85% over last year's. Highway fund is 7.7% over last year's, and street lighting is 2.67% less than last year, for a total of the three funds at 4.21% increase. Okay? And if anyone has any other questions, I
All right,
can leave these
thank
for
you.
anyone who wants to look at the entire sheet. We did not produce a budget because obviously, until it's passed, I don't want to produce 500 pages and put it out on the web and everything else until
Right.
I know for sure that it's done.
All right, anyone want to make a comment? Chip, after that, if we have anybody, after this person comes up, can you bring that person forward?
Claudia
evening.
Bianco, Northgate Circle, Baiting Hollow. Does Bill have the approximate cost per taxpayer of a house assessed at, what was it, 53,000?
50,000 is usually the,
do have that. I need a minute, so if anyone else has questions.
Okay, so we'll bring up, the person online. Chip? You have it? Billy, if you have it, that's all you're gonna talk about, right? You have it?
Yeah. It's $120.45 for a $50,000 assessed value.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. I have two comments on the resolutions. As John McAuliffe from Roanoke Landing in Riverhead. Two comments. One is on the issue of the leaves and cleanup. I agree with everybody in commending Tim and others for solving the immediate problem. And I'm not arguing against it in any way, but I'm wondering whether there's been any consideration of the whole desirability of leaf cleanup in the way it's done now. Again, if people follow this, there's been a debate in some places about whether it is better to grind the leaves and leave them in place as far as the environment and the nutrition of the soil. So again, it's not my area of expertise, but I would hope before this happens again next year that at least ought to be explored as an option, that whether it would both save money for the town and avoid the problem of where all these leaves are going to. The second question has to do with the parking garage and that exploration of or investigation of development of it. I agree with the comments made earlier by Ms. Jen Smith that I think there needs to be a qualified and eligible hearing that goes to the whole character of the current plan. As I've said in previous board meetings, I think the use of land that has been purchased with public funds to create another hotel and take land away from the public park area for private profit is a bad decision, and I think it needs to be really looked at in and of itself, and if that somehow is related to the question of the garage, I would hope maybe that you would simply table that resolution and establish fairly quickly a timing for when the qualified and eligible will happen, and particularly both the ethical and environmental questions of whether we really want to give up part of this wonderful new open public space to a private profit-making hotel, which could be built in lots of other places. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Chip, anyone from the audience? Good evening.
Hi, how are you? Grant Newberger on behalf of the Building Construction Trades Council of Nassau and Suffolk Counties. We represent 65,000 members across Long Island, contained within 36 different local unions in the construction industry. And please cut me off if I'm doing something improperly, because I'm still a little new to the Riverhead swing of things. I wanted to just comment briefly and speak out against a moratorium on warehouse building. Sorry?
So this is for comment.
On just the resolution, so.
Afterwards,
Open
after we
comment
do the
on any matters after all the resolutions.
Okay?
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Barbara Blast, Jamesport. Resolution 797, it's a budget transfer. I don't understand, there's only one whereas to it, and I'm confused by it. Whereas additional funds were received by Launcher for rental of town property at EPCAL. and additional legal fees have been incurred in connection with the same property. Was Launcher subletting, or were you saying funds were received from Launcher for rental? And what was the nature of the legal issue?
Again, that's a CDA. I believe Launcher was leasing a certain portion of the runway, and so we were receiving funds.
Okay.
So I have a response to that. As far as the legal fees, can you add to that?
Well, I didn't request the budget transfer, I don't believe, but if it says related to EPCAL, it
says-
would be our legal fees related to for representation on the sale.
It says rental of town property at EPCAL and additional legal fees have been incurred in connection with the same property. I don't know if that was referring to EPCAL or to Launcher's property,
Well,
but it's
Launcher- Yeah, Launcher doesn't have property, so
Well, I mean,
they
where-
had
what
a,
he's
they had a
lo-
prior rental agreement, lease
Right.
license agreement with
Right.
us, for use of a portion of the runway. My
Okay.
understanding is there was leftover money from that the CDA had, so it's being transferred over to cover legal fees for representation in the transaction that we currently have pending with 555.
I thought we weren't paying for any further legal fees.
That's on the IDA. On the application to the IDA, 555 is covering that,
Okay,
that
Okay.
joint because it's a joint application.
yes.
With us and 555, they are covering those legal fees.
Okay, I think I get it. Thank you. I appreciate your time and
Okay,
patience.
thank you, Barbara. Anyone else? Chip, do we have anyone online? Okay. Thank you, everyone. And Diane, can you call the resolutions, please?
Resolution 792.
Buildings and Grounds Department budget transfer for grinding, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 793.
Buildings and Grounds Department budget transfer for the highway salt barn, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 794.
Building and Grounds Department transfer for utility body truck, so moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 795.
Highway fund budget transfer, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 796.
Riverhead Sewer District Capital Project Number 82226, budget adoption, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 797.
Budget transfer for economic development, Z14 fund, so
Seconded.
moved.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 798.
Authorizes expenditure of American Rescue Plan funds for the Cranberry Street sidewalk, so moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Our highway department did a phenomenal job on that. It's great project and safe streets to school. So thank you, Mike Zaleski and the entire highway crew. I vote yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
This is, the project has been in place to be accomplished for many, many years, and I'm glad that we finally got it through. And I'm hearing that the parents are enjoying walking those streets, so yes, absolutely.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 799.
Tim?
That's me.
No?
Approves payment to the Riverhead Anti-Bias Task Force purchase books to donate to the Riverhead School District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 800.
Accepts the resignation of a traffic control officer, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 801.
accepts the resignation of a water treatment plant operator trainee. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 802.
Appoints a Colon Assistant Recreation Leader and Chaperone to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 803.
Appoints a part-time purchasing technician. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 804.
Approves a military leave of absence for a police officer. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
These are my
Resolution 805.
Ratifies the appointment of the law office of Siegel and Sittler PLLC. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 806.
Amends Resolution 2022-787 to award Test Well Phase 2 rebid. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 807.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement between Voltis and the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 808.
1 second. Authorizes the supervisor. Ooh. What do you have?
These
Okay.
are not numbered.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with Level G Associates. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 809.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute agreement with Changing Environments, Inc., AKA SUFA sign. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 810.
Authorizes the town supervisor to execute a professional service agreement with Lawrence M. Levy, DBA On-Site Productions regarding calendar year 2023. So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 811.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a hold harmless and indemnification agreement with Gerald East End Hotel Corp. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 812.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement between the town of Riverhead and the Riverhead Central School District for purchase of salt sand mixture. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 813.
Authorizes supervisor to execute agreement with SUSA Soccer Training LLC for training and referee services for Town of Riverhead Police Athletic League Girls and Boys Soccer Program for 2022 calendar year. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 814.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a retainer agreement with Lane M. Bubka Esquire of Bubka Law Group for legal services for the Riverhead Youth Court 2022 to 2023 calendar year. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Youth Court's a great program. Thank you, Lane. I vote yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 815.
Authorizes shotgun hunting for deer on town property at Enterprise Park at Calverton. SCTM, that's Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-135-1-7.33. Et al. And 1751 Sound Avenue, Calverton. SCTM number 600-60-1-2 from January 1st 2023 to January 31st, 2023, sunrise to sunset.
Okay. May I have a second?
So moved.
Vote, please.
So moved.
Seconded.
Kern,
Yes, I'm just happy it's happening.
Yeah,
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 816.
Awards bid for the removal of household hazardous waste. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 817.
Extends bid nunc pro tunc for automotive parts. So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 818.
Extends bid nunc pro tunc for Ford Automotive Parts. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 819.
Extends bid number tongue for truck parts. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 820.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for e-waste collection and recycling. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 821.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post bid for water service materials. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 822.
Authorizes the town clerk to re-advertise bid for ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 823.
Blue Water Development, 313 Edwards Avenue, LLC. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 824.
Resolution calling public hearing regarding a capital improvement for the extension of facilities of the Riverhead Water District for the Villas at Roanoke LLC for a water main extension at the property known as Suffolk County Tax Map Number District 0600, Section 08, Block 02, Lot 4 in Riverhead, New York. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 825.
The publication of and posting of a notice to amend the CDBG budget for program year 2021 and 2022. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 826.
Authorize town clerk to publish and post notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 275 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Stormwater Management and Erosion Sediment Control. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 827.
Adopts a local law amending Chapter 217, Article 7 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Front Yard Restrictions and Driveways. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 828.
Adopts Town of Riverhead 2023 annual budget. So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
I was not happy that this really should have been, I think the budget should have been more discussed at work sessions. It should have been more open to liaisons within the departments to have further insight. I think it's more of a top-heavy budget where giving a percentage raise increase from employees that are making $100,000 at 6% gets $6,000. And other employees that are making $50,000 are getting a $3,000 raise. And I just think that our lower tiers need to be brought up so people can make a decent living in the town of Riverhead, and I hope that's negotiated better in the CSCA budget. But I just think that there was further review that was needed on this budget, so I vote no.
Bayrock.
Yeah, I think a lot of work went into this. I think this is a good first step forward to bring, like Ken said, to bring our employees up to speed and make these positions competitive. I think it's a good budget. I'm going to vote yes.
Hubbard?
I'm going to vote yes. It is a good budget in terms of helping to get some of these salaries up for some of our lower tier employees. We can't do it all at once, as much as you'd like to, and I think it was done as best it could be done, and I'm voting yes.
Aguirre?
Okay, so initially, when I submitted the budget, we had to expand our police department. We did expand them the most ever, probably 3 times more than it's ever been done, to 7 police officers. I try to keep the tax cap as low as can be. I did have discussions with the town board members during the budget process, and when I completed my process, and no one made any recommendations, and as soon as I submitted my budget, an employee, we have 358 employees, and in open session, that one employee was identified and received $7,500, which is not fair to anyone involved. And so in addition, the funds that were added, the $150,000 resolution, it's a recreational issue, concern, right? And so it should have came out of our fund for community funds that we get, such as solar. And I don't think that the taxpayers should have been afforded to have to pay for that. So based on that, the lack of transparency, a couple people, one person was a cowboy after that, we're gonna break a budget. I think that we were always open, I was open, and we met with all the department heads, so, and based on that, the approach to take the tax cap from 1.3 to 2.5, which is almost double, I cannot vote yes for this budget. Moving forward, I think that's the last resolution, Diane. Oh, no, pay the bills. Oh, did you want to come up with your? I'm going to vote no.
Okay. And so that
We have
resolution
one more
is,
reso before.
You want to do it after the bills?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so that resolution is adopted.
Because usually that's the last one, so
Right.
we'll do it after.
So resolution 829?
Pay the bills.
Right, so then we have one more, which is pay the bill, and then Tim Hubbard is going to take it from here, Councilman Hubbard. Yes. Bayrat, did you want to, you
I
said pay
just
the
want to pay
bill?
the bills.
Okay, can somebody forward, please? Can somebody second? Second, please
Okay,
take a vote.
Kern,
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to bring a resolution off the floor, and I believe we would title this resolution number 830.
Would that be correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we need a second to take it
Second.
off the floor, and then we need 5 votes. So Diane, can you please take a vote?
Right,
Kern.
this is a general fund budget transfer, okay? That's the title.
And the amount, you just repeated, I guess.
$194,100 out of the general fund being transferred to the highway department for leaf pickup.
Okay, great, thank you, Councilman, and thank you for working so diligently on that and finally resolving this matter. And Diane, can you please take the vote?
Certainly. Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes to pull it off the table.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution
Pull it.
830 is taken off the floor.
Okay, can we take a vote on the resolution, please?
Resolution 830, general budget transfer, so moved.
Second.
Okay, take a
Kern.
vote, please.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yeah, I want to just thank Tim for working on this. I do want to thank, too, and acknowledge Mike Zaleski. He really did try to, in good faith, make a good effort to make sure that it got done, but, under the terms of the agreement with the town, and I think he's been a gentleman through the whole thing. And I want to acknowledge Gio Woodson for years, who has been fighting this fight to get it out of the general budget, general fund balance. But I think this is the best way to bridge the gap. It's only this season. It's in the budget for next season, and I think it's a worthwhile effort. And thank you to everybody involved. Yes?
Okay,
Could I just ask a question quickly? Do we have something from the highway superintendent, representation acknowledging that this amount will be sufficient for him to do the pickup?
Our liaison has spoken to him this afternoon, and they have reached an agreement. And he knew that the resolution was coming, so it's, you wanna speak on it, Tim?
Yeah, this price of 194.1, because he had originally, the price was like $219,000. There was $25,000 in his budget for leaf pickup, so we're deducting that, and this is the price we came up with. Mike agreed to this, and this is, also, in the future, he requests not to have that $25,000 line put in there.
For bags.
For bags.
Right.
He just wants to have, the money in there for the leaf pickup itself. So that's where the price of 194,100 came. And I'm gonna piggyback on what Frank said. Mike has been an absolute gentleman during this process. We discussed it as business, as it should be. It wasn't, it wasn't personal, and we all get along well, and I'm glad we came to an amicable agreement to have this done for the residents, and I definitely vote yes.
Aguilar.
Yes, hallelujah, finally.
Resolution 830 is adopted.
Okay, thank you, Diane. This concludes our resolutions for today. And at this point, we're gonna open up the meeting for public comments in person or online, and do any members of the public wanna come forward? Hi. Okay, now's your time.
Now's the time.
Welcome back, and thank you for being patient, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure. Like I said,
Sorry, quickly, before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that pursuant to the town board's adopted rules, we have a 5-minute limit on comments. I see that we have a lot of people here, so I want to make sure that we get through everybody in a nice, timely manner. Sorry.
Can you see the clock?
Well, she's gonna start it now at 5, but I don't know if you're
Yeah,
gonna take
we'll
all the time.
restart the clock.
Yes, you go ahead.
thank you.
Hi.
Like I said, Grant Newberger from the Nassau Suffolk Building Trades. I represent the 36 different unions in the construction industry here on Long Island, encompassing 65,000 members, all Long Island locals. When the building trades gets on a project, it represents real local jobs for local people, and we are, I believe, the true economic driver of Long Island. Let me give you an example. If we have 19 apprentices on one job site at $75 an hour, which is their total package, working 40 hours a week, 48 weeks a year, that's $2.7 million. Now, if those 19 apprentices do not get a raise for their 30-year career, that's a total economic stimulus of $80,080,000. Now, when you extrapolate that to our 65,000 members, it's tremendous the amount of true economic impact coming through the building trades, in the form of construction here locally on Long Island. The building trades nationally trains and graduates more members from our apprenticeship programs than all private colleges combined. This is really important when we talk about safety, because it's just such a key tenet of our programs. Believe it or not, a construction worker dies on site in New York once every 5 days. 87+% of those deaths are non-union, so the track record really speaks for itself. When we talk about getting these construction jobs, we like to refer to them as a career, right? Because once you're in the trades, it's really a career for life. It's not just one job for one employer. It's, you could work for multiple employers on multiple sites for the rest of your life. And our new generation of leadership, Matthew Arasich is now the president of the Building Construction Trades Council. He's really been preaching diversity and inclusion. And just as an example, he took over 5 years ago, and under his tenure, our council has grown right about 10%, from 60,000 members to 65,000 members, because he's made a real effort to be more inclusive to the Long Island public in general. I'm here today because I noticed on the agenda for this week and the agenda for this meeting, and I think I noticed it on the previous meeting, there was correspondence about a moratorium for warehouse space. I'm here to speak against a moratorium on that or any other kind of construction, because, I'm no economist, but I listen to the news like anybody else, and I watch the interest rates go up. I keep hearing that a recession is coming. If that's true, why are we cutting off, real revenue-producing opportunities for our members specifically? And, we are the volunteer firefighters, we are the Little League coaches, and to say that we're going to just cut off this portion of the construction industry, I think, is tremendously short-sighted. And I'm not saying that this board is really considering, I just don't know. I noticed it on the agenda, and I thought it was the right thing to do on behalf of my membership to come out here and, express our concerns. Thank you, that's
Okay.
that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
I have to leave my card with the clerk should the town supervisor and the board like to reach out.
Thank you. Any next? Ooh, we have the honor of having our former councilman Jim Wooten here.
Can I have his minute, though? Can I have his minute? No, sorry.
Yes. Good evening, Jim. How
Hi,
are
good
you?
evening. I just want to take a few minutes to speak to the board. I'm James Wooten, a lifelong resident and a former police officer in the town of Riverhead, as well as a councilman. I sat where you sat and dealt with the issues that you're still dealing with. I have a family that I raised in this town and is now off enjoying her college life. But I want to take a couple minutes to thank you all. Thank you all for serving the community as our elected representatives. It was a role that I took very seriously and never forgot the awesome responsibility. I find myself probably from my patrol days traveling this town. I would hop in my car and just cruise around, all except for 58. I don't go on 58. But I did read and refer to the 2003 master plan quite often while I was a councilman, making decisions and weighing in on matters not unlike the ones that you might have to address tonight. As I ride around the different zones, I am quite amazed at the thought and the talent and the reasoning and the research and the engineering that created that vision of our future Riverhead. The sacrifice that the farmers made to create 2-acre zoning in Calverton. The beautiful homeside developments that were spawned by that decision. The TDR program that we as taxpayers to this day continue to pay down the debt in order to preserve and protect our agricultural heritage and have open and rolling vistas to our north of Roanoke, and the inevitable retail and commercial growth along Route 58. The creation of the retirement community zone along Middle Road to encourage smart development and to be aware of our efforts and our effects on our school district. The creation of the village centers and hamlet centers in rural corridors, all to help with smart growth. I am very proud to be a Riverhead resident and respect all those who gave their time and talent, who sat on focus groups and charrettes and hamlet studies and created this work of art. Their hard work and dedication is quite visible. And now we're nearing the final chapter. Our master plan has done its job. It's now time, since the body is built, to work on all the finishing touches. I have never been an advocate for moratoriums. I think for the most part they are used to thwart and to create a stopgap. I was always in favor of dialogue and mediation. Budgeting a town such as Riverhead has many moving parts. You have the ever-increasing retirement and medical costs. You have collective bargaining for salary increases, which is a good thing. You have bond indebtedness. I know the decisions this year to pierce the tax cap wasn't easy to make. The money the town collects to pay its bills comes from landowners, all of the landowners. I realize there was a lot of additional income anticipated for user fees and permits and all of that. But the tax levy itself is the one that we start with. Now, can we as a town afford to place a moratorium on development along the Long Island Expressway terminus, which would be not only a tax base increase, but create jobs? The fear of residents along Middle Road is increased traffic and noise, and I understand that, and I agree with them. Those retirement communities were designed and are intentionally placed in those areas close to retail and medical facilities. Because of this particular location of development, weight restrictions and codes restricting semi-trucks can be put in place. we can protect that neighborhood from the unwanted traffic and the unwanted noise, and keep our streets safe to travel. Balancing a budget with a town that prides itself on its open space and farmland preservation and retirement communities comes with a price. We need to look at the few areas left that the plan enables industrial land to be used, and all the reasons cited in the master plan why they were put in those locations. Look at the proposals and create a balancing act. I don't envy your task, but I do know that there will come a time we may see a tax burden that will change the character and the hometown feeling that many of us have come to know and love. Thank you for letting me speak, and I have 32 seconds, so I wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving.
Well, Jim, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
It was good to see you. Also, just note that our budget is $41 million as opposed to Southampton's 71, so they have a lot more to increase salaries and to work with employees, and unfortunately, that's where we are. But thank you, it was good to see you, and do stay in touch. Yes.
Claudette Bianco, Northgate Circle, hello, Bating Hollow. Once again, I was disappointed not to see a moratorium on your agenda, your lengthy agenda. And speaking to the past couple of speakers, as the president of a union for 15 years, I speak for myself, but I think I speak for most of the people in this audience. Nobody is against jobs. That's not the purpose of this moratorium. You wouldn't build a building at the end of a major roadway without taking all of the building considerations in organizing it. You have to have a plan, and you have to know what's going to be the impact. And that's what we're requesting. We're not asking for a moratorium so people don't have jobs. That's not what the purpose of the moratorium is. We're willing to have these buildings and these businesses. We want it put in the right place.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Phil Barbado, Jamesport. I wonder whatever happened to the comp plan update. We keep hearing that there's a new contractor. I don't see anything on the agenda for hiring that contractor. I'd like to know, I hope somebody can inform the citizenry, do we have a contractor?
Yes.
When is that contract going to be signed? Do we have enough money to pay the contractor based on the original budget? And what is the new schedule for completion of this comp plan?
Schedule is about 14 months. The contract has not been signed yet, but it is extremely close. And what else did you ask, Phil? There was a third thing?
The funding.
Oh, and we have
Is there
the-
enough money in the
we
bank
have the
basically
funding
to
for it,
cover
yes.
this new contract and still get the job done?
Correct.
Yes.
And
Okay.
they're giving us a timeline of approximately 14 months.
They did attend a work session, and they actually, it's posted online, the timeline.
Right.
It's posted online.
Oh, I couldn't find it. I'll have to look again. Okay. And then, sort of related to that, is the moratorium on those 7 projects within about a 3.5 mile distance. We would hope that you would pass, get to the details of that moratorium as soon as possible, so we all know what it's going to say. And in line with that, someone, either the town or these applicants, need to take a look at the cumulative impact of those 7 projects. And it probably should be done by the town, but that's your decision to make. And it can be linked in with the moratorium timeline and or the comp plan. That's your decisions to make. But I encourage you to make sure that a cumulative impact appraisal is done of those 7 projects. That's what we really need to do. And as one of the previous speakers said, how wonderful Riverhead is. Yeah, it's wonderful. Let's not ruin it. Let's keep it wonderful. Thank you.
Chip, do we have anyone online? We don't. Fine.
Phil,
Anyone else?
I've asked for the moratorium to be put on, the discussion to be put on for this Thursday's work session. I'm not sure what the schedule of the work session is yet, but we still have to discuss it publicly to come up with a final answer or a situation how we're
And
going
we
to do it.
agreed to speak on Thursday also, in that regard, so, and we're
Yep.
also still researching the projects.
Right.
We're taking a close look at it, so, it's
It
inevitable.
hasn't been forgotten.
Yes,
what
that's
I'm
for
saying.
sure. Okay, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Pat Bloss. I'm from Aquaborg, and I have a letter to read to the council. Can you hear me? Is this better?
A little bit better, yep.
Carol Hubbard says hi. She told me you'd be up here.
Oh, she saw you. Dear Town of Riverhead Supervisor and Town Council members, we would like to bring to your attention an issue that your senior citizens have with housing the early voting at our Riverhead Senior Center. Early voting takes away from our vital daily activities. We attend the programs at the center for different reasons. The exercise programs take place in place of having to go to physical therapists, which we all know we have to pay co-payments. They also help to keep us fit and active and money in our pockets. Early voting takes away from our socialization. Seeing our friends is an important part of our day. We also like to stay and have lunch after these activities on those days. Please, if you can find an alternative location to hold the early voting, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening and considering the solution to our problem.
Thank you.
I have it signed by the,
Yes, can you give that so we can file it with the clerk's office?
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
Thank you for putting that in the record. And like I said, I talked to Carol and a couple of the other seniors about this.
Yeah.
And evidently, the Board of Elections needed
It
the
overwhelms
area.
them, yeah.
And really, it's not fair to the people
It's
who
not.
rely on that. So hopefully, we can find a way to mitigate that in the future.
I've had a conversation with Kelly, Mrs. Bloss, about it, about
Yes.
finding another location.
Yep.
Because it just overwhelms the senior center and it affects every program down there, so we need to find another location. I wish
Your
we'd just
point
get
is
rid
well
of it
taken. Thank you.
altogether, but we're probably not going to, because that's beyond our means, but we will try to find another location so it doesn't upset the
who
senior center.
determines the location?
The Board of Elections, they have to certify the location. So we can recommend a location to them, but they have to come and see if there's enough electricity, the size of the room.
We just need to get an
traffic flow.
alternative place.
Yeah, we need an
Yeah.
alternative location. It
Yeah.
Yeah,
doesn't
because
disrupt.
this year, it was three, two primaries and the general election, and it really,
It displaced a lot of people.
it really
Absolutely.
did.
Yep.
And you have no idea what a great job the senior center does for the
Oh, I
seniors in
know,
this
I
town.
spent a lot of time there, and they, during COVID, anything that we needed, they helped us with the seniors. We needed a location when I got the vaccines, and we chose the center. The state approved it, and they were there, I mean, day and night. I understand, the staff is great, and
They're
we actually have a very active senior center.
They
Yes.
do a great job down there, Mrs. Bloss.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, just to let the town board know, I did speak with the director of the senior center about this issue, and I have sent correspondence to the Board of Elections
Thank you.
commissioners
Great.
requesting that we explore identifying an alternate location
Alternate,
for
yeah.
early
Great.
voting going forward.
Excellent.
Good.
I think that one of the concerns were, it's like Aquabog, right? They
Being
wanted the
central,
seniors, yeah, as much, so, why not, they can choose one of the schools possibly. So,
You're not gonna upset a school for that long doing that. We need a building that would be.
oh, that's right, because they're doing the
Police
day.
station.
Yeah,
Yeah,
firehouse,
firehouse would be
that's-
a better location, maybe.
All right, yep, we'll explore it, good idea, hi.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Jen Hartnagel. I'm here on behalf of the Group for the East End. For those of you not familiar, the Group for the East End is an environmental nonprofit. We've been around since 1972, and we work within the 5 East End towns of Long Island. We're here tonight, as others have spoke before me, to please urge the board to consider a moratorium on the developments within Calverton. We signed on to the letter that hopefully each of you had a chance to receive. There was a sign-on letter about a few weeks ago. The sheer amount of development proposed within this small area will undoubtedly have an impact. There's just no question about it. And we believe from a planning perspective, a cumulative comprehensive analysis should take place so that you understand the impacts and that you as a town can figure out how to mitigate those impacts. And so reviewing the projects on a case-by-case basis is what the planning department's doing now. There's no way that you're gonna be able to get an understanding of the whole picture, what's at stake and what the impacts truly are. A moratorium is completely justifiable, it's legal, and ultimately, it's actually a responsible planning tool in this situation. There's potentially 2.5 million square feet of industrial development. That's not even counting any future expansion of EPCAL. That's mind-blowing for that small stretch of an area. I mean, I don't think anybody in this room or the planning department at this point, and I'll stand corrected if you can identify or quantify how many truck trips, the air pollution impacts, the noise, the quality of life impacts. And without doing a comprehensive assessment and just taking a time out with a moratorium, you're not gonna get those answers. And so there are 6 or 7 large projects, and we believe they should all be brought under the moratorium. They don't have vested rights, and we urge you to plan responsibly, and please consider this. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hard act to follow here. My name is Mark Hobner. I'm here as a citizen of Aquabog. Thank you for your time, Madam Supervisor and the board. I respect the famous ball player Yogi Berra, but what we are at right now is called a fork in the road, but we can't just take it. I'm talking about the moratorium at this moment, but also about a lot more than that in context. We have an amazing opportunity in front of us right now, and having the power of a lot of voices to create a comprehensive plan which will determine the long-term future of our town. With this opportunity comes a responsibility. Will my then 70-year-old grandson be standing in Town Hall in 2090, complimenting us on what a great job we did in making the building net zero, even putting electrons back into the grid for our local hospital? Will he look at the 70-year-old buildings you and I are proposing this very minute and say, I can't believe how much thought went into these even in those ancient times? Are we going to think more, or are we going to be thought less? I will not be here to hear him talk about our achievements, but it doesn't let me off the hook from doing the most I can, the best I can, to make sure that he doesn't have COPD or asthma because of my poor choices in 2022. To make sure that he was given an opportunity to learn as many skills as he could, so that he didn't just get a job, but saw a future with a dozen choices in fields for which we don't even have yet. Technology is changing by the nanosecond. It's easy to simply wait for the next cool gadget to come out and then try to figure out what to do with it. Not just screen time limits for our children and blue light keeping us awake so we can scan the news in bed, but solar farms, battery electric storage, solar energy production on farms, 30-foot wind turbines in our backyards, and hydrogen fuel. We cannot predict the future, but we can shape it. I'm going to leave a letter for my grandson which says we did the absolute best we could with what we had at the time. And I'm asking you to sign that letter with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? That was very good. Well written. Hi. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Danielle Kilfoyle. I live in Calverton. I'm here again to request you adopt the moratorium on industrial development as proposed by the Planning Department. As the draft moratorium states, we are seeing an unprecedented amount of industrial development applications in our town. Despite the fact that this industrial development is largely concentrated in the hamlet of Calverton, its impacts will be felt far and wide. This is a critical point not only for Calverton or Riverhead, but for the East End as a whole, and the ball is in your court. Your planning department has drafted a thorough, thoughtful, and comprehensive moratorium based on their experience and expertise. You are the legislators, but they are the experts in this area, and it behooves you to yield to their recommendation. The town's current infrastructure cannot handle the scale of these proposed applications. Without the completion of the master water plan, how is the water district balancing the needs of these industrial developments and our district's quality and supply issues What's the long-term plan? It's been said, and I'll repeat it again, that none of these industrial developments will pull us out of our water supply or quality issues, and if anything, they will contribute to them. Your spring 2022 Riverhead Water District newsletter states, quote, "If we cannot curb our peak demands, water rates will continue to rise to fund the construction of new facilities and maintain the integrity of existing facilities." End quote. Even if HK Ventures pays to have a new water tower installed, which will meet their water needs, they're not paying to maintain this tower over time. Who foots that bill? Future Riverhead Water District customers. There are shortcomings in the impact studies that applicants are drafting. North Point, for example, who wants to use Middle Road and Manor Road as their entrance with hundreds of tractor-trailer trips per day, we're relying on North Point to supply data on the traffic flow of their own facilities as part of the traffic study. That seems crooked to me. We're essentially taking their word for it. We're relying on data made up by an applicant whose intention is to develop a site as they see fit. It's wrong. There's a direct correlation between distribution center square footage and its traffic output, yet the draft for North Point doesn't require the applicant to obtain any such data. This is just one example. Our taxes are going up while we live under the looming threat of unprecedented industrial development that will surely impact our quality of life here. The drafted moratorium is the only logical step forward, and I ask that you please adopt it. It's not worth placing any one of these developments above your residents. Thank you.
Chip, do we have anyone online? Can you bring them forward?
Good evening.
We're gonna bring someone online. Just give us 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay.
Ron, Ron, you're on.
Thank you. Ron Hariri of Aquabog. Riverhead is the poorest town on Long Island. It's the most taxed town on Long Island. It has among the highest indebtedness of any town on Long Island. Yet, this town board, this all-Republican town board, has seen fit to pierce the tax cap. This board is an embarrassment, it is a laughingstock, and although I don't agree with the supervisor in most of her assessments, I think she was entirely right in reporting to Riverhead Local that this town appears to be controlled by a good old boys network of drinking buddies. But here, in piercing the tax cap in the middle of a recession, in the middle of the highest inflation in years, it seems that this board is acting like a bunch of drunken sailors. You should be ashamed of yourself because you will cause immeasurable hardship to people trying to survive in these very difficult times.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. I just want to make a note. That was Ron Harari from Aquabog. He was on WRIB today, calling myself an imbecile and a loser from the Bronx. So it's got a lot of class. But thank you for your comments. I'm sorry. You can go now.
That's a tough act to follow.
It is. Oh,
Actually, it's not at all.
it's not. Yeah.
It's absolutely not.
My name is Kevin Donahue. I live in Windcrest East.
Good evening, sir. How you doing?
I, too, am in favor of the moratorium. I don't think the master plan anticipated 20 years ago. I don't think the master plan anticipated the fact that Calverton would become as residential as it is. We have about 250 people in Windcrest. Foxwoods is right across the street. as I try to get out of my community, right or left, I often have to wait. I can hardly imagine what it will be like with tractor trailers. Let me just tell you what this building would call for. 305 spaces for automobiles and I guess vans, 143 spaces for tractor trailers. The roadways would not support this. It's impossible. Also, I understand that this building would use 25,640 gallons of water a day. Now, just getting in and out of our communities, and Foxwoods is right across the street also. And we have a four-way stop sign set up on Mill Road that's leading down to Home Depot. I can barely get out of my community now. And it's like a demolition derby at the four-way stop sign because people don't understand how their responsibilities are. So I think most of us have seen the huge building on exit 42 as you get off the expressway to go on to Northern State. There are no houses there, no residences. Calverton has an awful lot of residences, an awful lot of people who will be totally discomfited by this proposed behemoth of North Point. So I urge you to consider this carefully. I've been out here since 1955 when I was a camp counselor in Camp Malloy, long before Mattituck existed. My wife and I have always wanted to come back here to retire when we were finished raising our family, and we were fortunate enough to do so. So I urge you not to turn Calverton into Long Island City East. Thank you.
Thank you. Chip, do we have anyone online? Good.
I just want to comment on the four-way stop sign on Mill Road. I think you hit the nail on the head there. That is bumper car city right there. People are very confused at that intersection to begin with, and I definitely agree with your assessment there.
Okay.
John, your mic is not on?
Yes, and welcome back.
You're muted, John.
Unmute yourself.
All right, we're gonna lip read.
I think he said he loves the town board.
Really?
I don't know. I'm trying to read his lips.
You don't know how to read lips, because that's not what you say.
John, you're muted if you can hear us.
Okay, do we have anyone else from the audience while we get him up? Anyone else from the audience want to come forward?
Mike Foley, Reeves Park. I speak in favor of the moratorium on all industrial development in the hamlet of Calverton as written by the Riverhead Planning Board. Riverhead Planning Board has always had a reputation of protecting property rights of owners. In my opinion, to a fault, but certainly we can agree to disagree. I've certainly disagreed with Ed Denzeski on a number of things. But to see Ed Denzeski and a unanimous planning board vote for a moratorium, I hope would have tremendous influence on the town board. We're talking about a board that is there, that knows their stuff. You know that they have never stopped people for unreasonable reasons from developing stuff. And clearly, the amount of applications in front of them scared them. And they said they wanted to initiate this moratorium. And they asked the town board to consider it. Our town board also has some wording on a moratorium that has not been completed, but it's at least been contemplated, and it has been written by the planning department. So, on October the 27th, the town board had a work session that part of it was involving proposing, as Tim had proposed, a moratorium on all industrial development in Calverton. And a lot of ideas were exchanged there, and some of them were misinformed on the facts. And I just want to allude to some of the quotes that I took out of that work session. Frank, I'll start with you because you were actually the first one that spoke on it. You started off by thanking the planning board for bringing this to the town board's attention. And you made a comment that this is getting too big. Certainly at the time you were talking about the amount of industrial development in Calverton. You have seen it from a number of different angles, and that was your gut instinct. Later on in that meeting, in that work session, you had mentioned that the major upgrades in the water district is reliant on the applicant's money. And there was another person that also mentioned that. I'm just looking real quickly here. Actually, it was Ken that mentioned that HK Ventures is a savior of our water district and essential for the survival of the water district. And the water guy, Frank, I think it's Mancini, came up to at least correct the record on that all of these applicants' money is going strictly for the benefit of the applicant. Not one penny of the key money that we were talking about here goes to anything but the benefit of the applicant. So I think we need to clear up that misconception so that Frank and Ken, you guys can take that thought that you figured as a positive out of the consideration, because it's not.
I think that he did a great job of letting us know that right there and then.
Well, and I hope that will, and I hope, because it was really the main thing that you brought to bear, Frank, on this as a reason for possibly justifying this development. And Ken, you did mention that, and I think if the two of you eliminate that consideration, then you're going to go a long way towards agreeing for this moratorium. Bob, I just want to mention that you talked about tax revenue concerns with the moratorium. I'll just say, Bob, that certainly taxes come at a price. And if we're talking about changing the character of our town, there is not enough tax they can pay to change that character that will be satisfactory to the people in this room. So I think, and I would also remind Bob that the Industrial Development Agency gives tax breaks away, not as much as I think, and maybe they think. Certainly we can quantify that number with a spreadsheet, and of course, I have bellowed a few times up here about the 555 group looking for IDA tax breaks when they're getting a $100 million tax break on the price. So I'll just end it with this because my time is short. You have every reason to impose this moratorium. Your attorney has said that not one of these developments is vested. HK Ventures event, you said that's been around a long time, they've spent a lot of money. All of that is true. None of that makes them vested. If you make an exception on granting an application for an unvested company, the litigation that you fear, you are creating by making that exception. It is disparate and preferential treatment. And I hope everybody here will consider that, and I look forward to hearing the next work session. Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have the caller? Can you hear us, John? Can you hear us, John?
Yes, yeah, I figured out why I was muted, so thank you for the patience.
Okay.
John McAuliffe, Roanoke Landing, Riverhead. I support the moratorium. I've spoken at a couple of previous meetings why in particular the HK Ventures project poses serious problems, especially given the war situation in Ukraine and the alleged Russian mafia connection of the owner or the principal. And I think that that one cannot go forward without a serious investigation about the validity of those charges and whether we really want that ownership as part of Riverhead, especially in such a big property. But the main thing I want to talk about is the link between the EPCAL process and this discussion of a moratorium. We're now depending completely upon the IDA to protect us from the several-year-old flim-flam that started out with Daniel Preston and is now being carried out by the Germaisians. And I'm trusting that the IDA will recognize the reality of this and stop that project, stop that sale. And if that happens, then the town of Riverhead gets control back over the EPCAL land, and it can make project by project decisions. At this point, if the EPCAL deal, if the Germaisian deal goes through, we lose virtual control over up to, was it 9 or 10 million square feet of not just warehousing, but an air truck hub, which is going to have a disastrous consequence for the quality of life of all of Riverhead and surrounding towns. Just think of those freighter planes coming in at all hours and the trucks going out at all hours. But I think there may well be places within the EPCAL land where a conscious decision could be made to allow a modest amount of warehousing that would take advantage of the rail head and not allow any cargo, air cargo, coming in. But we don't get control over that land again unless the IDA protects us from this deal. So I hope these two things are kept in mind by the board, which has ultimately responsibility, and by the IDA, and so that the moratorium gives us the breathing space for those two decision-making processes to go forward. Thanks very much.
Thank you, John.
Hi, Mark Hubner from Aquabog.
Last word again?
I hope so.
Yeah.
You know, I keep coming up
Mark,
here.
you
I'm
should have
eventually
waited
gonna
a
be the
little
last guy up. And I have some poems. Two
You
fun
didn't wave to your wife yet. You
What's
usually
that?
do. You wave to your wife.
Oh, she avoids this thing.
Oh, she does, okay.
This is death. Two fun facts. One of the fellows that had gotten up here a month or so ago and said that every 1 million square feet of warehousing is going to need 1,400 employees. Now, I didn't check the warehouse quarterly, with the Heister and the Centerfold. I got to go look at those figures. I think that's probably well advised. But if you multiply that times 10 million square feet, it's 14,000 people. I don't know where we're getting them from. I don't think they're coming from between here and Montauk and Orient. I really don't. I don't think it's, and the other fun fact is that Amazon just announced that they're laying off 11,000 people before Christmas, before the holidays. And I know we can't say that if a business wants to go in business, whether they succeed or fail is not our business. We can't make those determinations. I understand that. But with 11,000 people being laid off, 1,000 of those would be Riverhead people from our warehouses, for example. Will have a direct impact very quickly. So I just want to keep those kind of numbers in mind when we're doing that. And the third thing I've got to really lean in on, I've made some calls up to NYSERDA. We are going to be responsible for the greenhouse gases that are produced in this town by 2030. Whether that's residences, and they judge that apparently by the amount of fuel that is used in the town, and not just for the government buildings, but for residences as well. So they've got facts and figures that they're rolling up. And if we add 10 million square feet of warehouse to this, we're going to be responsible for those buildings if they're empty or if they're full. So I will follow through and get some real hard numbers on that, but just something to think about. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Hi, Laura Jen Smith again. I just wanted to just make one point. I know Mike brought it up, and when I went back and looked at the session from October 27th, I believe it was, where you were talking about whether HK Ventures was vested in the community and the amount of money they spent there. You know, I've been coming to these meetings, I watched them on TV, almost from the second that HK Ventures put in their application, there were folks here at these meetings asking for a moratorium. So it's the community is vested in this as well, and has been vested in this just as long as these applications have been here. You know, people are here, they've vested in their homes, they've vested themselves in our community, they're retiring here, they're raising their kids here. So when you talk about a dollar figure, you know, you need to weigh in why people are living here and what this community means to people. So I hope that you'll consider that, not just what HK Ventures has put in to sort of set them aside and sort of carve them out from any moratorium that would be placed there. So as you consider the moratorium, I was hoping that the leaf pulling off the floor today would have been a moratorium, but I hope at the next meeting that you will have a moratorium ready for the residents of the community. Thank you.
Chip, do we have anyone online? Okay, anyone else from the public want to come forward? Okay, hearing no one, thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting.
I would like to make
Hang on,
comments.
Sophie's gonna-
Board?
Okay, we have one more.
Good evening, Takwi Turchin, President of Greater Calverton Civic Association. Tonight I was handed a sheet of signatures from our petition. And don't be fooled, this is not our only sheet. This is the most recent sheet that came in the door. There are hundreds of people signing on this petition, hundreds, and they're still out in neighborhoods. You've heard tonight from folks who live here in Calverton and in Riverhead, across Riverhead, the wisdom of using a press on the brakes. I'm not going to reiterate them. People have so well spoken before me have made that point. I just would like to take a quick look at the audience and just ask who's in Calverton, a Calverton resident, Calverton Bating Hollow. Calverton cares, we still care. This is our 5th meeting showing up, and we are going to continue. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to address, prior last town board meeting, we had a vote on cannabis. And the cannabis committee worked very, very hard over many months. And we created a mapping system, we put together zoning, and the committee was comprised of many different aspects, from civic group members to our schools, to our police department, to residents, and to also to organizations in which wanted to do or intend to do business here in Riverhead. Immediately prior to our vote, the supervisor made certain comments that I think that need to be addressed before the board, because I think they were inappropriate and they were wrong. And I'd like the clarification on some of them, when you make comments that the board can only make the determination on hours from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. And most of the setbacks we have are for childcares and parks out of the window. The only designation they gave new guidelines is schools. Your comment, from what I can gather, there's going to be drive-throughs, so every bank becomes a hot commodity for marijuana use. You can order it online, their guidance, and you can have a delivery service. It's up to 25 people per location can go and deliver. None of these comments were true, they're inaccurate, and they're wrong. I believe what you handed to us after the meeting was a sheet that said guidelines or guidance, for potential writing legislation within the town. But when you state that we don't have a right, I spoke to attorneys, the state is going to annul home rule. They never stated there's a home rule. I think that's complete false, and I'd like you to make statements on where you got this information from. And most importantly, it says that I was told that the state would annul our resolution. I'd like to know who you spoke to in the state that intends to annul our resolution.
Councilman, there is such a thing as professionalism. You disagreed with some of my comments. I had gotten the report, which was put forward. They are guidelines, and I have spoken to an attorney, and I have turned the name over to our town attorney to confirm. To bring this out as a matter of back and forth and making false statements. You haven't been in my office in 6 months, but maybe you should visit us and we should start an open line of communication with my staff. I know that, you know, you like to stand up here and, you know, for whatever your personal reasons are, but this is inappropriate. To bring it at a town board meeting, this is something that we should have talked together with, professionally. And so, you know, it's about time that
You made false claims and comments to directly
Okay, I
change
know.
a vote, which I think is inappropriate. If you're stating something is illegal and it's not illegal, and you were told by the
you're
state,
being
you
very
have a right
aggressive,
to say
which
that.
you
I'm not
are.
being aggressive. I
Yes,
think
yes,
if
you've
you,
been very aggressive and divisive.
we all up here have to be honest and forthright and
I
truthful in
am,
the statements
but
we
why
make.
are you making all these claims?
Because I'd like to know. I think it's clarification. I think the public deserves honesty.
You can't have a discussion with me.
Well,
Instead
we
of
can
saying,
discuss
you're
it now.
saying things that are wrong, these are all little press
I'm
bites.
reading exactly what you said
Enjoy
in the
your
last
press
meeting.
bites, Councilman. We are. You're correct, ma'am. You're correct, and that's his intention. It's called, that is exactly his intention, and I totally agree with you, ma'am. You know, so, okay. So, obviously, this is, something, we need to move on forward and something that should be discussed and agreed to instead of being so aggressive. But we're gonna close this meeting and thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting for this evening. Can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, everyone, please be safe.